This is Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and this is the Dawg Pound. All right, no music this week. Okay, this week we're going to be talking about news. We're going to talk, I'm using automotive news headlines for the subjects of this week's broadcast. We're going to talk about the guest panel of experts. I'm going to talk about stories that are hot, that caught our eye. And we're going to give our slant in the Dawg Pound Mischievous Dawg Pound Posse here, starting with Jennifer Briggs, who I've often said one of the most brilliant women in the automotive realm, one of the most brilliant people in the car business. How you doing, kid?
I'm doing great. Now I think I'm going to say brilliantly mischievous or mischievously brilliant. I want to put those two together now. So I like that new adjective this week.
So I got to start using mischievously brilliant in your descriptor. Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
And you talk about mischief. One of my dear friends in the business from Vista Dash, my good friend, James Klaus. Hi, guy.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me on, Jim.
Oh, we're looking for big things out of you today, okay?
Huge things out of me.
Okay. And when you talk about brilliant women, you cannot leave this woman out. And you're speaking in a panel at Digital Dealer, right? Again?
Yep. It's coming up fast. We've got, I'm actually going to Business Bourbon and Cigars, which I'm excited about, and then turning around and going to Digital Dealer in October. So a couple of busy months. And then just 6 websites and a couple SEM changes, but no big.
I want a photo of you sucking on a stogie, okay?
You got it. Done.
Business, bourbon, and cigars. Okay, I can see that. You're going to get rowdy, aren't you?
You know it. Excited for
+1.
Okay, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I have been many times and done a lot of business, from the Jackie Cooper Group, the variable operations manager, Chris Martinez. Hey, big guy.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for
having
having me
the
on.
best. Oh, I'm glad to have you on. I've been following you on social media. You got a lot to say, and I'm glad to finally get a chance to meet you. And from Moscow, Russia. No. Actually, the Mad Russian. Where are you at today?
I'm in Spain, Jim.
You're still in Spain. Okay.
Yes, sir.
He's got residences globally. The next 007, Max Zanan.
Right.
How you doing, big guy?
I'm good, Jim. Glad to be here. I'm sure it's going to be a fun show. I haven't seen Chris in 2 years.
It's been 2
last
years
time I saw
already.
Chris was at NADA right before COVID.
Oh,
That's
wow.
right.
Well, you can be the new 007, Max. I just watched the last 007 and they killed him. Pissed me off. They killed James Bond.
Well, because they have to bring in a gender-neutral James Bond.
Pineapple. Okay.
Oh.
As we sift through automotive news this week, and I am really impressed with the standard of journalism that automotive news has stepped up, and I'm really impressed with the reporting in recent times. Chris Martinez, what story did you pick out? What caught your eye?
Well, the one that's, everyone always asks, do you have the crystal ball and can you foresee the future? What's going on? And when you read articles like this, you can kind of, get a glimpse of what's going to happen this next quarter. But Toyota output shrinks for 4th month on shortages. So, that's
Toyota. And why are they shrinking because of shortages? I mean, let's talk about that.
So China, there was some chain disruptions caused by COVID. So there was some lockdowns. So that was a big part of it. And as a result, when you have shutdowns of a lot of the different suppliers, you can't make any more cars.
Okay, once again, dependent on China. Now, think about that. I just read another article that said Lincoln product is actually going to outsell in China with U.S. production. they're going to sell more Lincoln product in China than in the U.S.
Wow.
James Klaus?
Yeah, I was just nodding along, but that's shocking because they've had a stronghold in China for many years.
With China, the biggest standing army on earth, over 1 million men under arms. They're building warships and planes, and they're going to start some crap, and here we're depending on them for parts, chips, materials.
And that correlates back to if you have seen the article about Berkshire Hathaway pulling out of their interests in China as well. Big news from Warren Buffett today, or maybe not today, but very, very in the near past, that Berkshire Hathaway is pulling out of BYD is the name of the company, which is the largest electric manufacturer in China as well.
Well, all the news is electric. And one thing that surprised me as I paged through automotive news, I'm actually the physical copy. As I paged through automotive news, 1/4 of the articles are about Ford Motor Company. April?
No.
Good, bad, or ugly, but the disheartening thing is the realization that we still can't get product to customers that have ordered vehicles, yet they're laying off people in massive quantity, and the push to the EV when we just, can we take care of what's right in front of us right now? Can we not lay off people? Can we, get people to work to actually building vehicles and strategizing on how we can better get these vehicles to the consumer who ordered them, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a frustrating time to see, people losing their jobs in a time when.
Well, who's losing their jobs though, April? I get that it's a white collar layoff. Ford's laying off 3,000 people, and if you ever been to Dearborn, I think there's a lot of redundancy there that they probably didn't need a lot, but they're hiring on the other hand. They're hiring, so I think they're shifting job positions. Jennifer?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's really vital, and not just picking on Ford. When the market is good, people don't tighten their belts, right? And when you're getting fat and full, you got to loosen that belt up a little bit. But coming through the last recession and seeing that redundancy in so many organizations, right? Not just the big three back up in Michigan, but it's really, and I don't think it is mutually exclusive to what April just said, but I don't have the details on which departments and where they're reallocating that labor dollar. But if we're trimming up in a way to be more efficient, I mean, it sucks. Nobody wants to get fired. Nobody wants to lay anybody off. None of that is a fun part of business. But being in business means you have to be efficient and effective with every single investment.
Most dealerships need to fire somebody.
Yes, they do. They do.
You don't need to fire everybody, but you need to fire somebody. Did you ever James Klaus, you ever see that show on TV, Happy Days?
Yes.
Remember Happy Days?
Hey.
Yeah. So, okay. Richie comes in, and Richie's all beat up. I mean, some bully has beat Richie up. He's got black eyes, and his clothes are all torn up. And Fonzie says, "Well, you got to get in their face, and you got to face them down, and you got to act like you're tough." And so Richie comes back in Arnold's. He's all beat to hell again. And he said, "It didn't work." And Fonzie said, "Whoa, forgot to tell you one thing. You have to have a reputation for having done it before." So the moral to that story is you don't need to fire everybody in the dealership. You just need to fire somebody. You have to have a reputation for having done it before.
Or you could use Jack Welch's model, right, that he used to use.
Tell me.
The 10% rule, like if they're below the line, it's time for them to go.
Yeah.
How many people out there, when I was speaking to these 20 groups, or when I'm speaking to a dealer body, I'll say, how many have somebody that needs to be terminated? And every
100%.
dealer in the room raises their hand. Chris, you're operations director of variable operations for Jackie Cooper. Do you have anybody that needs to be fired?
There's definitely some people that need some more training.
I love that. I was just having one of those trainings earlier today, Chris.
He pussied out on that article. That answer. Anybody that needs to be fired.
Hang on 1 second, though. 1 second. I think that there is actually a valuable lesson there, because when I first learned to become a manager, it was the 5-Minute Manager series, which, if you know, it's old. It said if you have a problem with an employee, it's one of 2 reasons. 1, they don't know. 2, they don't care. It is our job as leaders and managers to eliminate the don't know. So I'm gonna back Chris up on that a little bit. Because there may be something who is a leader, but once you train them on it and you've determined that it's they don't care, act swiftly.
If I was an employee working for Max Zanan, I would almost bet that Max Zanan was the Grim Reaper.
I mean, I was a Grim Reaper in my previous life. And I'm not ashamed of it at all. Sometimes, drastic measures are justified. But I want to make 2 remarks. First about Lincoln outselling, in China.
Yeah, let's go back to real news. Okay,
So listen, remember when they killed Pontiac and they killed Oldsmobile?
Yes.
But they did not kill Buick, right?
They did not kill Saturn.
Right, but why did they not kill Buick?
Because Buick was the number 1 selling car in Japan.
In China compared to America. Right? So that's point number 1. And maybe, this is the same rationale. The second thing is the electric cars. You're right. Automotive News has like an exuberant amount of articles about electric cars, right? So I see 2 things, right? I see mass psychosis among all the manufacturers. Right. And at the same time, I see, fear of missing out. Right. This is the true example of, FOMO. What if I don't make an electric car? Right. And this mass psychosis tells them to kill the internal combustion engine at the same time. So even though you mentioned that Ford is going to stop producing Edge, I guarantee you, and I know you're recording, that within 2 years, they're going to come out with the stupidest statement saying that they're going to kill F-150 with an ICE engine. This will be the ultimate mass psychosis in action.
Well, you know that's going to happen.
That's right.
Another article that caught my eye. Hyundai dealership customer shot by employee in Ohio. They found this guy bleeding on the parking lot with a bullet in his leg. Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Have you ever wanted to shoot a customer, James?
If you remember, I used to work at Bozeman Ford Lincoln and RV in Bozeman, Montana, where I would say of my 15 sales consultants,
Cowboys.
13 had were prepared at any time. We were a little old school, so probably the wrong store to walk into and pick a fight with first people. But no, I've never had to shoot anyone ever, let alone in a dealership. Not really my MO. But the fact that it gets to that point is pretty alarming. And then I believe the dealership employee is in jail or out on bond right now.
Yeah, he's in jail, and evidently it wouldn't say what the argument was about. It might have been a personal matter. You don't know, but the employee is in jail. Now, I've been selling cars since 1976. I have been armed every day of that experience. I mean, I'm armed right. I have a pistol on me right now, but I've never shot anybody at a dealership. I've only shot one person in my life, but I've never shot anybody at a dealer. But
But you thought about it.
Oh, everybody has thought about it. Chris Martinez, have you ever thought about it?
Yes, I have.
It's just matter of fact.
I used to wear a 380 pistol on the end of my left leg with an ankle holster. because when I was test driving cars, I could draw it. If I'm in the passenger seat, I could draw it with my right hand. But never had to, never showed it to anybody. Like I say,
and
Jennifer,
it was a service. It happened in their service lane, right? Some type of altercation, and then just, man. I mean, I have definitely been in markets before where there's video surveillance on every part of the floor and the lane and things like that. So,
we have one of our top salespeople here. He's actually been a salesman with this store, at this store,
Oklahoma. Yeah, go ahead.
He's been here for 40 years. He still sells cars, done a great job. And he told me of a story when the store was on 11th Street back in the day. He got kidnapped at gunpoint, and the guy tied him to some fence and left him there. Luckily, didn't harm him. But yeah, he was kidnapped at gunpoint. Kind of crazy on a test drive.
If I was a woman and I was a car sales representative on a test drive, I'd be very nervous about some of these customers. Now people know that I always have carried a firearm, but I got this image. That is totally untrue. Totally untrue. April, have you ever been nervous on a test drive?
A couple of times, more often from bad drivers than anything else. Because if I've had a bad vibe prior to that, I don't go on a test drive. And any other young female, I've always sat them down before they start selling cars, and I've said, look, at any time we will send a trainer with you to go on a test drive if need be, or do whatever is necessary to make people feel comfortable in that way. But pretty rare. It's actually pretty rare. Bad drivers scare the shit out of me.
There are many stories about salespeople being kidnapped, salespeople being mugged. When I was with Potamkin Cadillac in Atlanta back in the 80s, they took one of our salespeople, and I'm trying to think of his name. It was a French name. But anyway, they left him locked in the trunk of a car.
Wow.
Look at this. Alicia.
The reason to always get a driver's license on a test drive.
Oh yeah, Alicia Burton says she just jumped on the broadcast and we're talking. She said, "Are you talking about the Hyundai dealership in Ohio? I used to work there." Alicia, tell us more. Do you know anything more about the story? I'll be watching the comments on the sidebar there. Okay.
Oh, I've had so many stories through the years. Typically though, it's the customer that is trying to hurt a employee, not the other way around. So
most of my stories are actually employees, no customers. So I had a lot of issues with that.
Everybody knows those stories. I'm telling you. So what other story caught your eye, Chris Martinez? What are you looking at?
How about this one right here? The profit squeeze on pre-owned, that front page. You remember that one? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I got it right here.
You see the profit squeeze, market's falling fast on the high line for sure. You see $9,000, $18,000 adjustments within just a matter of 90 days or so.
And why is that?
Just, market softening, interest rates going up. It's people, just slowing down, not
because
jumping.
of math, Chris. I think the answer is math, right? People.
Economic demand. The demand is coming down. There's a number of variables. It's math, yes, but it's how the economy works. And if you're paying attention to those signals,
but really, Jennifer, it's math. At some point, right, you just can't afford it between the interest rates and the insane.
For sure, from the customer standpoint, 100%. Right, math. just saying it for us as business owners and operators of dealerships, it's paying attention to those signals so you're prepared when the consumer demand, like the little stuff ahead of time, because there are always, I mean, Chris was just going over, several different variables that play into it. It's just being ahead and managing your dealership from your own data and not being reliant upon circumstantial success.
I got to tell you, I've been reading all the articles, watching all the media in the industry. Jim Farley at Ford has been photographed recently more than Elvis. I mean, this guy's everywhere. He was with Jimmy Fallon on the test track with a Ford Lightning the other day. What's going on with this guy?
Well, I mean, maybe he's trying to get as much social media publicity and other publicity as Elon, since they really want to try to model that business practice. Like, if he starts dating Amber Heard, we may have a problem.
The only difference is that Tesla spends $0 on advertising.
Oh, no, but there's a lot of PR for Elon himself.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
Plus exuberant advertising budget.
You're 100% correct.
It seems to be more about Jim Farley than it is about Ford Motor Company. But here's one of the hot stories.
There was another one to let.
Tesla is suing the state of Louisiana to break the franchise laws. Okay, everybody jump on that one a second.
I mean, it's really easy, guys. Let me jump on this first, right?
Yes, go, Max.
And again, I'm glad that you're recording, right? Because I'm willing to go on the record that Tesla is going to win this case.
Okay, so they're going to carve out an exception for direct to the
100%.
consumer sales.
100%. And you know who's going to back them? Ford, GM, and everybody else.
And why is that, Max?
Because they want to be like Tesla, and they're going to start by saying we're going to carve out EV sales, right, and go direct to consumer. Then we're either going to do the same to ICE sales, or most likely they will say, well, in the last 2.5 years, car dealers price gouged hundreds of thousands of consumers by charging over sticker. And now we are the good guys, the manufacturers. And we want to kill the franchise laws and sell direct to consumer at sticker.
Okay, so we're going to sell direct to the consumer. The consumers are going to get no breaks if the manufacturers win the direct sales battle.
Correct, but the manufacturer will just raise the sticker price. And
Right,
the
they
consumer
already
will end up paying the same price they're paying at the dealership. But the manufacturer is going to get their ultimate dream, right? Which is eliminating franchise laws. Because they all are salivating to be like Tesla.
I don't disagree with them. I don't disagree with you at all, Max.
I know.
Jump in there, Chris. What franchises are you working with, Chris?
Mercedes, Porsche, Nissan, Infiniti, Sprinter.
Okay, Nissan. Now, how many Nissan stores do you have? One?
We have one. Yeah.
Okay. They have gotten so much more customer friendly than they were 2 years ago, or dealer friendly.
They have. They actually have, which has been, pretty good so far. So they said they weren't going to sell to the enterprise rental car companies, and so far it's kind of seeming like that's actually pretty true so far.
Well, because there's nothing to sell, guys. Give it time. When they go back to their old ways, they will sell to enterprise, to Hertz, to Avis, to everybody. They will introduce, every single stair-step program, because you know how they say people are consistent. They don't change, right? Companies are consistent as well. And Nissan will go back to their old ways.
And I don't disagree with. I think that with all the manufacturers, I keep hearing people saying, well, it's a different market. They're gonna hang on to the inventory just because they like the fact that dealers are more profitable. But at the end of the day, the minute they start seeing market share go away, that's it. It's going to be game on again. Like they're going to.
Oh, imagine that.
Greed. It's greed. And greed, it'll always win at the end of the day.
Go.
That's it. Just Max, everything you just said, and Chris, same thing. It's exactly what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. What's happening right now is because of a exception, right? Everything that normally happens, when the rule comes back, the exception no longer exists. So we're making rules up right now based on the exception, which is we don't have enough product to actually fill even close to demand. That's why all these things are happening. The pandemic started and created all of this digital retailing hubbub, which is also a bunch of forced crap. So, at the end of the day, when everything kind of hits its reset, the customer will always be the one that actually creates what will actually happen with the companies, because they're the ones that pay and buy the product.
Absolutely. Now, by the way, this is the Dawg Pound Show. Please share this broadcast. And if you want to see previous broadcasts of the Dawg Pound Show, you can always find the library of Dawg Pound archives on ZieglerOnDemand.com. No problem whatsoever. Max, what are you bouncing up and down over there?
Just adjusting my camera, to get my best angle.
You've gotten so Hollywood since we started this thing. Unbelievable. James Klaus, what else has attracted you?
All right. Well, the one that really I find very interesting is dealers blasted online for Corvette markups. Dealers blasted online. And
I just saw one on a Nissan Z or something this morning. People are just blasting them for those addendums.
Okay. Yeah, and this one's, but let me just go into a little more detail. This one's interesting because one of the stores, which will remain nameless unless you have an automotive news login, was just gouging. The other store, because they're a monster Chevy location who probably was going to get VIN number 000 something, and that could be a very valuable vehicle down the road, sold for over sticker for their allocation. They then took that money and donated it to the local food bank, to the Boys and Girls Club, to those things. But online, they are getting lamented by every person who's ever stepped foot anywhere near the store or who has access to the internet. So I just found that article very interesting because you look at it. So when is it okay and when is it not okay? And like Jennifer alluded to earlier, certain manufacturers have said you can't mark up anymore, but we increased the invoice by $8,500.
Right.
They immediately when the government just adjusted the tax rebates by $7,500, guess what? Every one of them raised their price by $7,500. They took the rebate and absorbed it away from the consumer. Every one of them has raised their prices.
Can I share a real story that just happened?
Oh, you mean we're lying about the other stories? This is a real one?
No, this is a real one.
Share a personal experience.
It goes right to what James is talking about. So at Ford, we're not allowed on these electric vehicle orders to mark them up. I have a $800 profit on a Mach-E on an ordered vehicle. 9 months later, the vehicle comes in. The customer says, I need you to hold the vehicle for 10 days because I'm still working on getting my best bid on it. Because this customer they're taking those vehicles and they're putting them on these forums.
Flipping them like houses.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're marking them up $20,000, $30,000. Just Joe Blow down the street who has no plans to help service that customer, show them how to use it, do any of those things. And we're not talking about. Some
of the manufacturers avoiding the warranty if you flip the car the first year.
But I don't see how they're going to get away with that either. At the end of the day, it's supply and demand. If a customer chooses to pay that, then that's really a personal choice.
Other than the fact that we're down
vehicles are vehicles that are name brand, they're a toy.
Right.
So if someone wants
Well,
to pay extra money for a toy, that's kind
those
of
have always cost more. I mean, my first group I ever worked for, we dealt, not only did we have very rare new Corvettes, we also dealt in collectible pre-owned sports cars. So those types of vehicles, or a Raptor, right? You think about it, there's a limited supply and people have always paid over sticker unless you knew somebody, right? For those types of cars. That's not a new practice, but because all of the rest of the regular, to go back to what Chris was talking about, rental inventory is now also being marked up like crazy because of the scarcity. And I know, I'm sorry, I don't mean to call Nissan a rental inventory. That's not what I meant. I just meant, I mean, I had Hyundai stores in Detroit. We were battling, the same type of thing. So it is just the way it's always been for a rare, scarce vehicle. Now, again, because everything is rare and scarce right now. I mean, we do have a lot of things. I was on with the Kia store yesterday. They got 100 cars, new cars on the lot, new cars. And I was like, wait, no. That includes your transit, right?
Who does where?
I can't see their name.
Okay.
Well, Kia is building like gangbusters. My Kia store
100 new cars on the lot. Nissan has.
They don't have shortage like the others. They are getting us cars.
So, but to go back to the market share side of it, Jim, you've been saying it the whole time. Soon as, Stellantis starts that, Ford and GM are going to have to pay attention when they lose that market share. Uh-oh, Jim looks frozen.
Yeah, he does.
Come back to us, Jim. There he is.
Okay, I'm back. What happened?
I said something so fire, I made you freeze.
Okay, well, am I still freezing?
No, you're good.
No, you're good now.
Okay, fantastic.
But
okay.
I think to get to what you're saying about the markups, I think what most people, when you look at what you can buy a lot of these pre-owned cars for, and a lot of the manufacturers selling you the pre-owned stuff for over sticker, it's all relative, right? The customers are going to be paying, we're going to be overpaying for their vehicle. And unfortunately, I'm not going to sell, or we're not going to sell a new car for less than what you could buy a used one for. So it just doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
But listen, guys, I think you have intentional wrong pricing by manufacturers to create artificial demand. No different than Rolex, right? Why is Rolex Daytona priced at $12,000 list and sells for $50,000? Why wouldn't just Rolex price it at $50,000, right? So it's the same thing that's happening with, let's say, the new Hummer, right? That people are flipping, or the Mach-E that people are flipping. Why isn't the manufacturer pricing it according to market?
And then giving the dealer a fair markup so they don't feel like they have to gouge, right? Like, why is the dealer not getting a fair markup between invoice and MSRP on those vehicles?
That's 40 years since we've had a fair markup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the $250. What is the markup on a Mach-E right now, April?
About $800.
$800. And what's the MSRP on a Mach-E?
Oh, they range quite a bit depending on what all you load them up, but just go right in that $45,000 average.
Now, Max, you were bringing up Rolex a minute ago. Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay. When you're wearing a $40,000 watch, or you're wearing my presidential is a $75,000 watch.
It's worth more. It's worth more now.
The value is definitely going up. I got that triple diamonds presidential, but the thing about it is Rolex. You could search all over the internet. You cannot find the invoice on a Rolex. Now think about that. I mean, they when you got a watch that sells anywhere from $40,000 to $75,000 for the 18 karat gold, you can't find the invoice anywhere.
I promise you, they're making more than $800.
You think so?
Yeah.
And how much can you get a discount on a Rolex, Max?
Actually, Rolex sends out investigators, and they will take away your franchise if you discount.
Yes, they will. There is only a certain amount of sales margin that Rolex allows, and they've got, as Chris Scott just pointed out, they've got a 40% markup.
Yes, so does the iPhone. But nobody bitches about Apple, right?
Right.
No, I'm not hearing that at all. So,
Yeah, iPhone has almost a 50% markup.
Okay. Is anybody having any difficulty with the broadcast right now?
Nope.
Nope.
Because I can't see any of you moving.
Oh, well, we see you moving. That's fine.
Yeah.
I want
everybody.
everybody in the panel right now to sit tight, because I'm going to go out and come back in.
All right.
So talk to each other for a second.
Hey Max, since you're the Tesla guru, what about Lucid getting another $8 billion and then
Listen, Chris, I was just gonna say this. This is another Ponzi scheme.
Well,
right?
What about Nikola? Another
right. It's in the same page, right? I'm looking at it. So these guys are trying to raise $8 billion, and Nikola is trying to raise $400 million. Right? Between two of them, they probably produced one car.
I don't even think Nikola. Remember Nikola? I mean, you heard the story on that guy, right? That
right.
Company. I mean, he had a fake car and they were pushing it. I mean,
right.
It wasn't even a real thing. That's crazy.
But this is the mass psychosis that I'm talking about with electric vehicles.
Well,
and if I'm not mistaken, GM owns a big portion of Nikola.
That's the only reason that's keeping it alive.
Well, how much money do you think is being pushed over from the government to support this agenda? I mean, that's honestly where I think a lot of the push is coming from. Is there's a super amount of money that is currently going to manufacturers to push the EVs.
I think just like every major corporation in this company, they get a substantial amount of money from the government, whether it's in forms of tax breaks or subsidies or whatever it might be for participation. There's a ton of dollars tied into that, way more than should be on every level.
Jim, what's your take on that? A $400 million from Nikola, they're trying to raise $400 million, and then Lucid's trying to raise another $8 billion. Although, if you read the article even more, Max, the $8 billion that they're raising is in addition to the $4 billion that they already raised, but they don't want to wait till it runs out at the end of the year.
Now, which manufacturer are you talking about?
Lucid and Nikola.
Yeah,
raised 4.4 billion.
You would be talking
at the end
about.
of the year.
Have you ever watched the Kentucky Derby and picked the wrong horse? Well, guess what? Guess where one of my major stock investments is.
Oh.
Let me guess, Lucid.
Does anybody else think the picture in the article looks fake? Like that's not the actual Lucid facility? And is that a Volkswagen Passat parked out front? I'm just asking for a friend.
Don't be tearing up my Lucid.
Well, and I gotta say the charging stations look like cones.
Yeah, I was sitting there a couple of years ago. I had a big lump of cash I wanted to invest, and I'm thinking Rivian, Lucid, Rivian, Lucid, Rivian, Lucid.
Same thing. I've seen about probably 40 to 50 Rivian vehicles in Minneapolis in the last month or so.
I'm not impressed with that truck either. I mean, you look at it, I've seen it. I mean, who's really going to pull that thing out of the truck and go camping? And I mean, come on. I mean,
right.
Anything else you want to say over there? Anything else you want to beat me up on? I mean, my gosh. Let's see where we are.
We're going to talk about my crypto. I mean, if you want to go there,
Lucid right now is at $15 a share. I bought it at 28.
I mean, Jim, your first loss is your best loss.
Well, hey, it'll go up when they get this 8 billion hits their butts. And then your problem solved.
There you go.
Oh, it sounds like the U.S. government, just print some more money.
Speaking of charging stations, how is that going to work in California? I've been really thinking about this. We're not going to sell any gasoline engines in just barely over 10 years from now. Yet the majority of California is actually rural. You get outside of the major cities, the majority of California is rural. How are people going to move from one area to another for their job, even without having charging stations all along?
Okay, now there's the other story.
Over and you stop and you wait.
It's simple, April.
That's the other story. They just did a survey that 4 out of 5 charging stations across the country, outdoors charging stations, are out of order, don't work, out of service.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say like in major metro areas, and then people, like me who live in the sticks are like, no, they're out of service.
And Ford
Are
Motor
they missing
Company.
parts?
Ford Motor Company just told people, please park your car outside while charging so it doesn't burn your house down.
That's the other thing I was about to say. Those charging stations, man, just get someone that's smart enough that know that those are basically bombs. I mean, yikes.
Wow.
Go with it, Chris. Take it and run with it, Chris.
Don't say anymore.
So there was another, gosh, I forgot. I read an article somewhere where the guy, like the firefighters were putting out a Tesla or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it reignites.
And it keeps reigniting. And you're like, wow.
They said in the article, it was like those trick birthday candles. You blow them out and they come back on.
So, Chris, is that the objection overcoming you have taught your salespeople to sell against the Tesla?
There's some objections there for sure. There's some handling right there. I just print out an article, right? Just grab one.
The Louisiana
your evidence
law,
manual. Here you go.
The Louisiana law on direct sales, that they're trying to break the ban on direct sales. That law in Louisiana was just enacted in 2017. So it wasn't a long-standing law in the books. And Tesla is claiming, well, hey, look, you just did this because we're in the market. Does that make sense, Max?
They will win, Jim. They will win.
Okay, so you think you're going to tear down. Now, all but 17 states have already given up direct sales franchise laws. They've carved out an exception for Tesla.
Yeah, they will win for 2 reasons. First is because they're determined to win, and dealers are not united, and they cannot produce any type of a unified front. Right? The state associations have failed dealers. So did NADA. So to think that for some reason Tesla is not going to win is just complete insanity. They will win, and they will win many more times over in other states. You'll see.
I was going to say, living in Michigan for the last 10 years, and they already did reach a settlement with the state of Michigan. So there's going to be some type of precedent set, but secretly a little bit of me is really proud of Louisiana.
Oh, it looks like we lost James Klaus. I hate that.
Oh no.
He might have been the one having the connection problem. Somebody did. Okay, so anyway, what I'm looking at right now is that EVs across the country, people are buying them. What's the word I'm looking for? They're paying an incredible premium on EVs. April?
No, they're paying an incredible premium on EVs, but to, Chris Scott's point here, we don't have the infrastructure. There is no infrastructure that makes this work for the average American consumer. It will work for some people. Like if you live in a metro and you can plug it in your house, in your driveway at night and plug it, and do that and then be able to get to work the next day. For some consumers, they do work and they are fine. But again, I go back to what I said before, it is the exception. And we are making it the rule right now with no clear path on how we plan to even get there. Just let's do it.
Well, it's just not going to be possible.
But
we're going to see that.
To April's point, right, that they want to sell EVs in 2035 exclusively in California, right? The talk is cheap, right? And you will see them move the goalpost as we get closer to 2035 because they know it's not doable. You can't even blow dry your hair in California without causing a shortage.
Well,
I
mean, Max, to your
what
point,
we're already
what's gonna happen?
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, Max, to your point, I mean, do you think this administration that's currently in play, are they going to be there next time? And
exactly. You're absolutely right.
Come in and create better.
California politics will change.
So right. Well, and politics aside, the consumer is going to decide. And if you tie right into a different article where Experian is reporting 62% of all auto sales in Q2 were used cars. So just like I live in the sticks, if you've met me, you know that. I don't like being in a city. There are no charging stations near me. People like me are always now. What was that? I know. It's great.
Well, let me ask you.
But I'm just saying, we're just going to see more and more people being forced into. And again, as an accountant, right? I have an accounting degree and a finance degree, and I don't like depreciation on assets. It's like that. I prefer a certified pre-owned vehicle all day, any day. But you're going to see more and more consumers. We're already conditioning them for that right now.
Jennifer, I have an article coming out in Digital Dealer magazine if the editor doesn't say no. I wrote one of my hardest hitting articles in years for the upcoming issue of Digital Dealer.
I'm leaning in.
And
I'm going to ask you,
but anyway, what I said.
To your infrastructure point, how many of you wait till the last minute to fill up your gas? Like you're like down on E and you're ready to go and just you're
Every
ready. And then are you going to spend the hour or two to charge your vehicle? Do you have the time to charge your vehicle?
No. Let me jump back on what I said in the article.
Miles and wait for 2 hours. I mean, think about that. If you had to drive from if I had to drive from, let's just say, Phoenix to my Yuma store, it's a 3-hour drive, nothingness in between, literally nothingness. So I would have to take that 3-hour drive will now become a 12-hour drive because I have to pull over and wait in the land of nothingness.
No, you would just grab a used car off the used car lot and drive an ICE vehicle. Let's be real.
At least for now.
April, there are no charging stations there. What are you talking about?
Let me point something out here, guys. The article that I just wrote in Digital Dealer, and I'm going to give you a little preview of the manufacturers want to go to the agency model. Now, the agency model is the dealerships will reduce to 2,500 square foot dealerships. So these guys that have built these mammoth dealerships are going to be big outdoor skateboard emporiums, okay? I mean, so the $2,500 agency model, one car showroom. Okay, the manufacturers envision we're going to go to one car showrooms, probably in a shopping mall, if shopping malls still exist, or a strip center, or whatever. So we're going to reduce dealerships to a 2,500 square foot footprint. People are going to buy cars wearing Oculuses in the metaverse, and they're going to take a test drive in the metaverse with a chair that vibrates and does shit that makes you think you're turning around a curve. Okay, you're in the metaverse. So anyway, in the meantime, if I was a dealer right now, I would have a used car franchise, franchise-like dealership. I would have a used car superstore operating identically to the way that a franchise dealership operates today. Service department, everything's certified, 7-day return or 500 miles, whichever occurs first.
Reinsured, right, Max?
Reinsured, that's
Reinsured, sell your own service contracts, and if they break down within 50 miles of the dealership, you got to have the work done here. Yeah, I understand how that works. But I would go to my own used car. The hell with the factory. The hell with the manufacturer. I would have a used car superstore.
We talk about that.
And you have to build relationships with lenders, right? Because let's be honest.
But these guys already have, and these women already have relationships.
Yeah, because they have their franchise relationships. So do it now.
These relationships are dependent on your franchise agreements.
To begin with.
Because there are a lot of dealers that buy the shingle to get the banks to sell used cars. So if you don't know how to sell used cars, right, you might lose these banking relationships. So I agree with you, Jim. Not only that you have to treat your used car department as the new car department, but you really proactively have to work on maintaining these relationships in case the franchise model goes away, they take away your point, or you willingly surrender it because it's useless when the agency model kicks in.
And start with separate flooring. That's where I would start.
Start with separate flooring.
That's right.
And then start with a used car superstore. You already got the banking relationships, Mr. and Mrs. Big Dealer out there. Pay attention.
Hang on.
Anyway.
And do not floor with OEM, and do not sell OEM F&I products.
But if we're really talking about doing this, the first thing you need to do is make sure you have an independent service center set up before the flooring for anything. Because when we talk about doing things profitably, and I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how we have done that multiple times before for our budget or economy lots. We don't need to pay the same rates per hour. There's not the same certifications, still great technicians, but even before any of that, because if you're truly talking about planning and starting it, you need your tax.
You need, and you have qualified tax. What's your thoughts on that, Chris Martinez?
You do. I think you need to have all of it. I think when I look at like the agency model, I think that, I've been big on used cars ever since my career, right? I started at CarMax many years ago, and wherever I go, that's what we do. We stick around and we start pushing used cars, and used cars we end up outselling new, and that's kind of the model. So. The more dealers can get, stay around that type of model, I mean, they can do big things.
James Klaus, the manufacturers have sold less new cars. We're looking at new car production is down 29%. So used cars 3 years from now are going to be down 29%. That makes sense. I mean, it's going to, the cars we're building today new are going to be used cars a couple of years from now, and there's going to be a shortage of used cars. So the bubble everybody thinks is going to bust is not going to bust as quickly as they think it's going to bust, because there's still going to be a used car shortage.
But Jim, it's going to bust elsewhere, right? Yeah. Because assuming that inventory comes back in 3 years, the units in operation will be much lower that are 3 years old, and your service department will be kind of slow and will not be able to bail you out when you have to sell a car for triple net like you used to before COVID.
No, I don't believe that.
Okay.
I 100% do, and I think that Jennifer is right. That's why you need to make sure you've got your service department set up that when you can go after all makes and models, and you should be looking at how you're able to maximize service we know you can look at it today and know it's going to go down because we're
Why is General Motors coming out with Car Bravo? Why are we even letting them get into our used car business?
Hang on, I'm going to hold my eye twitch.
Well, because they hired somebody out of Harvard Business School, right? Who never sold a car in their life. It's the same guy who came into Lincoln and said, listen, let's kill the Navigator, let's kill the Aviator, let's come up with MK this, MK that. Right? It's the same guy, or it's the same girl. You know, it's ridiculous.
Okay. James Klaus, you're dying to say something over there. Jump in.
No, it's a fascinating conversation because I do agree with Max and April that once, well, hey man, you didn't bring me here to be a yes man, and Lord knows I don't know how.
I sort of did.
well, your pre-application, you don't screen text then because you did a terrible job. But anyways, yeah, everybody can say that the manufacturer will produce the right amount of units for the dealers to keep 30 days in stock, blah blah blah, until one of them just makes the decision that I've been at April's Kia store, right? And that's all fun and games. I looked at a Jeep at the store next to her Kia store, and I had 5 CarMax salesmen screaming at me from the other side of the street, April, you know what I'm talking about, saying, we got Jeeps for less, we got Jeeps for less, right? Well, that's the same thing that's going to happen with the Ford store, right? When the F-150 is great, April, you can order an F-150.
Wait a minute, CarMax salespeople were yelling at you?
Yeah, they were yelling. If you've never been to Horne, if you've never been where April's Kia store is, it's the most competitive car market you've ever been because there's every manufacturer on the same street, including a CarMax, and the salespeople stand on the corners and steal customers from the other lots. It's a free-for-all. You've never seen anything like it.
That's some Jim Ziegler stuff right there.
Yeah, when I was at West Side Toyota in Jacksonville, Florida, I was a salesman at West Side Toyota in Jacksonville, Florida, when the gas crunch hit in the 70s, and the Buick dealership was across the street. We used to yell at their customers on the overhead speakers in the dealership. Are you out of your damn mind? Ask that guy how much the gas mileage is.
But anyways, that's the manufacturer. So the Ford store said, April tells that nice customer, hey, 6 months, maybe your new F-150 will be here. You know, maybe it won't have heated seats because of a chip shortage. Who knows? Well, we'll give them to you later. But if GM has a store across the street with a truck that you could buy today, what's the consumer going to do? Well, not every consumer has 6 freaking months to wait for a vehicle. Sometimes people have wives who crash a car once every 4 to 6 months. And so you get a new car every 4 to 6 months while it's in the body shop at Cruise Motors. But anyways, long story short, that's what the manufacturers will do. And April, back me up. Am I exaggerating Horne Kia's location?
Like I tell people all the time that Phoenix is so aggressive. We do it is because here's the thing. You can go from that Motoplex where I'm sitting now to another one. There are 9 of them around Phoenix, and you can visit them all in under an hour, and they're all that aggressive. So that is 100% facts. We've all done it. We've all been guilty of it. We still do it. I mean, I have 2 of my stores that are both Horne stores that do it to each other.
April, I used to consult Buzz Sands Chevrolet. If you're familiar with Sands Chevrolet.
I know Sands, yeah.
And Jerry was one of my students when he was a younger guy. And that is an incredibly competitive market in Phoenix. Incredibly.
Yeah, we worked really hard to finally. It took us a few years, but we finally kicked Sands Kia's butts, and now we've got them in our dust. So
unbelievable.
Will, I want to say in the movie Used Car that Kurt Russell threw $1, not a $20 bill. I think it was $1.
$1 meant something.
Yeah, exactly. And if you haven't seen Used Cars, make sure you get out there and see it because you're not a real car guy.
Used Cars and Suckers. You got to see both those movies. Have you seen Suckers?
I've seen both of them, the ones you guys, but you also got to see Car Dogs. That's funny.
That is
Oh.
That's also
that
based
is
in
belly
Phoenix.
laughing funny.
Well, the thing about you're in that Tulsa market, and that's cowboys. In Tulsa, if you ever watch one of those crime shows on TV, it seems like it's always taking place with a police chase in Tulsa.
Well, you know, I've only been here 3 years. Prior to this, I was in Austin, Texas. So,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
a lot of the same over there too. So
This has been a very relaxed, interesting episode of the Dawg Pound, you know. A lot of-
Relax. I've got my blood pressure up a little bit.
Oh, no,
Nastiness
come
all
on.
over my face.
Well, anyway, I want to thank Chris Martinez and James Klaus from Vista Dash. Tell me about that.
We are a reporting and analytics tool that helps you know what marketing works and what doesn't. Everybody tells you their marketing works. Well, we are a provider that does not sell any marketing at all. I can't sell you paid search. I can't sell you Facebook marketing, but I can sure as heck get into your analytics through our platform and show you who's working, who's not, who to spend more with, who not, and then have a trusted ally. And another part of it is Google Analytics 4, big on GA4.
I'm always nervous about the word analytics and people that do it because the first 4 letters of analytics. Never mind.
Pineapple.
I think everybody that knows me knows that I don't have that part in me. I don't have the liar, cheater, stealer in me.
Everybody wave goodbye. Everybody wave goodbye to the audience.